The Dying Light community has some really good feedback for the game. Today I will be reading some of the best comments that I've gotten on my videos for Dying Light 2. Alright, from my Where Did the Inspiration Go video, MG22 mentions how the repetitiveness of the city wasn't just from reusing assets, but it was because of the city builder that Techland used. And this was covered from a Techland employee that showcased it in a Digital Dragons video called City Builder, a tool that created Villador. They mapped out the city in City Builder, picked the generation they liked the most, and then manually adjusted it. It's most visible in places where props are just inside of each other, or when there are weird 0.5 meter gaps between buildings, like in St. Paul Island with street lamps. Yes, that area of the map does look a little bit awkward. I'll show the street lamps now that he's referring to. Definitely would have been better if they manually adjusted it, like he mentioned earlier in the comment. The human combat in Dying Light 1 is laughable. Yes, Dying Light 2 combat may need some tweaks and changes, which are happening, but it's 10 times better than Dying Light 1, to which I responded, what about the human combat in the sequel? Do you prefer? No, Dying Light 2 / the sequel is better in any way that I can think of. Alright, fair enough. While I agree Dying Light 1 has more unique locations, but it was very copied and pasted too. The shanty town and just the early phases of the game were copied and pasted. The second half of the game is where the better quality of the design is, in my opinion. The quarantine specifically stood out as unique in Dying Light 1. The biter designs in Dying Light 1 were hard to distinguish because of the drab colors, but if you put the models in proper lighting, you'll soon realize the biters are few in number of designs. This is very true. Dying Light 1 had way less designs for the zombie models, but you could not pick them out. They kind of blended well with the atmosphere, and you weren't really too concerned about how they looked, because the game as a whole, in my opinion, was much more convincing of the reality that they were portraying. Dying Light 2 ended up with more zombie designs, ironically. The lighting provides a very good visual trick for Dying Light 1, and it seems to have worked. DL2 did the opposite, and so the visual clarity also results in noticing more things too, provided you can look past the bright colors. Hey man, we have color grading now, it's all fixed, right? I feel as though Dying Light 2 was rushed, but not because the cycle was too short, but it feels like they changed decisions and direction way too often throughout the project, resulting in weird dialogue choices and writing, Aiden's weird sociopathic reactions, and a little less variety of locations, including cut content like Elysium, which was a map location that everybody was wondering where it was because that was showcased heavily in the early trailers. The game should have focused way more on what is happening to Aiden physically because of the experiments plus inhibitors, and the evolution of the virus in general. I think this would have been a much more interesting premise for the story, and maybe we could have gotten another ending similar to that of Kyle Crane's ending, where he turned into the Night Hunter. But I mean, of course, I think that would have been a little disappointing if that was exactly the direction they went, but some sort of a happening because of these experiments. We kind of are left wondering which ending exactly is the canon one, unless they clarified that. I just am not aware. The edits are kind of annoying. Thanks for the feedback, Jakey. From Advent of Knowledge, the Gore filter is likely due to the Tencent acquisition. China regulates video games a lot, and one of the things that must be limited under Chinese law, per my understanding, is Gore. I did notice that. I thought that it was really weird for a Gore filter to be in a very Gore-oriented game. In my opinion, the following needs to happen with the game. Heh, pun. Volatile volume spawn rates need to be reduced. The volatile roaming is sensible and makes sense. However, the volume of volatiles, i.e. every rooftop and street, is just a bit ridiculous. This was one of my major dislikes with Dying Light 1 as well, is that they were simply too densely packed for night to be enjoyable. The fear factor dies after a while when it just becomes extremely tedious and annoying. Dying Light 1 executed the volatiles very well at the start of the game. That was an extremely scary moment for a lot of the community that got most of us hooked. But I do understand how fighting them can be tedious because of how overpowered they are. But it really is hard from a game design point of view to make these people scary, or make these volatiles scary without making them hard, because the only reason we should be scared after a time is that they're hard to kill. For example, like in The Walking Dead, are we scared of the zombies anymore, or are we supposed to fear the people more? We need something, anything, to flesh out the nature of volatiles in their existence in the world. Just being a baseline animal at night as an apex predator is just meh. That would be so cool if they expand upon these people in the story. Dying Light 2 is a game that I love but hate at the same time. The parkour is fun, the combat against humans is ridiculous because this human AI is so damn stupid. The story could be good if the Mia flashbacks wouldn't exist. They should make a rage mode for Aiden so we can run around as a half Volatile. They said they will have this in the new story DLC. Very exciting stuff. I think that is going to make a lot of the community happy because they were teasing that a bit. And it's weird for that mechanic to have been in only select parts of the story. They didn't really flesh it out. Stun locks are crazy, especially when encountering human fights. Like if you get hit with a power attack, you are 90% of the time going to be dead. That is my biggest complaint. I hate getting stunned. I hate getting knocked down. Like, give control back to the player. Luckily for us, with the new roadmap being revealed for Dying Light 2, we will be getting most of the stuff that was in the original. But most importantly, we definitely need to get the Be the Zombie mode back into Dying Light 2. That's what made Dying Light 1 so special in my opinion. Yep, I agree. A PvP mode, Be the Zombie mode, whatever the case may be, would be so cool to have back, and it would add a lot of replayability back into the game. With the rage mode coming into Dying Light 2, I wonder if they'll add that kind of a game mode back in with that mechanic. They might be able to use that against other players, and it might turn that into the next Be the Zombie mode. Overall, the Dying Light 2 community has loads of good ideas and responses for the game. I hope that Techland will see some of the feedback that the community is giving, but right now it's a waiting game, and only time will tell if they've heard us.